The rain hammered against the window like 1,000 accusatory fingers, each drop echoing the fury boiling in my chest. I stood frozen in the doorway of our shared apartment, the key still dangling from my hand, as I overheard the words that shattered everything. I can't marry her, not now. The cancer. It's the perfect excuse. We'll figure this out, love. Just give me time. My fiancé, Ethan, his voice low and intimate on the phone, speaking to her. His ex-wife, Lila. The woman he'd sworn was out of his life forever. My stomach twisted, a visceral punch that left me gasping silently. The bouquet of wilting roses I'd bought on impulse slipped from my fingers, petals scattering like broken promises across the hardwood floor. In that moment, shock gave way to a rage so pure it burned white-hot, searing away the love I'd clung to like a fool. I backed away quietly, my heels silent on the rug, heart pounding as if it might burst from my ribcage. The apartment we'd decorated together, mid-century modern furniture, the cozy throw blankets we'd argued over at IKEA, now felt like a stage set for a tragedy I hadn't auditioned for. How could he? We'd been engaged for 8 months, wedding invitations already printed, my dress hanging in the closet like a ghost of what should have been. Lila's stage 4 cancer diagnosis had come out of nowhere 2 weeks ago, via a tearful call from Ethan. He'd begged to postpone the wedding, saying he needed to support her through treatments, for old time's sake, for their shared history. I'd swallowed my jealousy, played the understanding fiancé, even sent her a sympathy card. But this was betrayal wrapped in a lie, a knife twisted deep. Slumping against the wall in the hallway outside, I pressed my palms to my eyes, trying to dam the flood of tears. Humiliation washed over me first, hot, stinging like acid on skin. I told everyone, friends, family, co-workers. The venue was booked, deposits non-refundable. What would they say? Poor Elena, always the runner-up. Resentment followed, a bitter tide rising in my throat. Ethan had always spoken of Lila with a mix of pity and detachment, claiming their divorce was mutual, amicable. But now the pieces clicked, the late nights at work, the secretive texts he'd dismiss with a smile. Obsession crept in unbidden, fantasies of storming in, smashing his phone, screaming until my voice gave out. But no, that was too easy, too raw. I needed something colder, more calculated. Revenge, the word whispered in my mind like a siren call, promising sweet release from this agony. That night, I feigned illness when he came home, curling under the covers as he hovered with false concern. "You okay, babe?" he asked, his hand on my forehead feeling like a brand. I nodded weakly, forcing a smile that tasted like ash. Inside my thoughts churned. Denial first, maybe I'd misheard? But no, the tenderness in his voice was unmistakable. Then doubt. Was I overreacting? Cancer was serious. Perhaps he was just scared. But the lie gnawed at me. I waited until he slept, his breathing even and oblivious, before slipping out to the living room. The city lights flickered through the rain-streaked windows, casting long shadows that mirrored my fractured soul. I grabbed my laptop, fingers trembling as I searched Lila's name online. Social media profiles locked, but mutual friends' posts revealed glimpses. Her at a yoga retreat last month, looking healthy, vibrant. No signs of illness. My heartbeat quickened. Could the cancer be fabricated? A desperate ploy to reel him back. Guilt flickered then, a sharp pang. What if it was real? Postponing our wedding for her sake was noble, wasn't it? But nobility didn't explain the love in his voice, the secrecy. I paced the room, the carpet muffling my steps, the faint hum of the fridge a mocking under to my turmoil. Heartbreak settled in like a heavy fog, memories assaulting me. Our first date at that tiny Italian bistro, where he'd laughed at my terrible pasta twirling skills. The proposal on a snowy mountain, ring slipping onto my finger with promises of forever. Now tainted, all of it. Resentment hardened into resolve. I wouldn't confront him yet. No, I'd play the long game, gather evidence, let the suspense build until I could strike with precision. The next morning, over coffee, Ethan was his usual charming self, tousled hair, that dimpled smile that once made my knees weak. "How's Lila doing?" I asked casually, stirring my mug, watching his reaction like a hawk. He hesitated, just a fraction, eyes darting to his phone. "Not great. Chemo starts soon. I might need to visit her more." His voice was steady, but I caught the lie in the way his fingers tightened around his cup. "Of course," I replied, my tone sweet poison. "We can push the wedding back as long as needed." Inside, fury simmered, a slow boil. I imagined her, Lila, with her perfect bob haircut and designer clothes, the woman who'd had him first. What did she have that I didn't? History. Manipulation. I excused myself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, staring at my reflection. Eyes red-rimmed, jaw set. This wasn't me, the trusting, optimistic Elena. But betrayal changes you, carves new edges. Work that day was a blur, the fluorescent lights of the office buzzing like angry bees in my skull. As a graphic designer, I usually lost myself in pixels and palettes, but today my mind wandered to darker canvases. During lunch, I scrolled through forums, Reddit threads on infidelity, stories of revenge that ranged from petty to profound. One post caught my eye. A woman who'd exposed her cheating husband's affair at his own birthday party. Humiliating, yes, but effective. Fantasies bloomed. Hacking his email, planting evidence, turning their lie against them. But doubt crept back. What if I was wrong? Moral conflict twisted in my gut. Revenge might make me the villain. Yet the humiliation fueled me. A fire that wouldn't extinguish. That evening, Ethan suggested dinner out, perhaps sensing my distance. We went to our favorite Thai place. The air thick with lemongrass and spice, chatter from other couples a stark contrast to our tension. "You seem off," he said over pad Thai, fork twirling noodles absently. "Wedding stress." I forced a laugh, brittle and false. "Something like that. Tell me more about Lila's condition. How did she find out?" He shifted uncomfortably, describing vague symptoms, doctor visits. But his details were inconsistent. Stage 4 pancreatic, no wait ovarian. My suspicion deepened, a quiet thrill of validation. As we walked home, rain-slicked streets reflecting neon signs, I slipped my hand into his pocket, feeling for his phone. He didn't notice, lost in his own thoughts. Later, while he showered, I checked it quickly. Passcode unchanged, thank God. Messages to Lila. "Miss you. Can't wait to hold you again." My vision blurred with tears, but not sorrow, rage, pure and clarifying. Obsession took root that night. I lay awake beside him. His arm draped over me like a chain, planning. I'd befriend Lila somehow, under a guise. Or hire a private investigator. Too expensive. No, subtlety was key. I'd postpone the wedding publicly, cite family issues. Let him think I was compliant. Then, gather proof of their affair, expose it at the right moment. Perhaps at a family gathering or worse, online for all to see. Fear nipped at me. What if it backfired? What if he chose her anyway? But the cold resolve won out. This wasn't just about him. It was about reclaiming my dignity, turning their betrayal into my triumph. Days blurred into a haze of feigned normalcy. I smiled at bridal showers turned sympathy sessions, friends hugging me with pitying eyes. "You're so strong, Elena." Strong. I was a volcano, lava churning beneath a calm surface. Ethan grew distant, excuses piling up. Hospital visits, emotional support. I tracked his locations via our shared app. Hotels, not hospitals. Confirmation stung but empowered. Inner thoughts raced. Fantasies of confrontation, him begging forgiveness. Doubts whispering I'd regret this path. Guilt over potential harm to Lila, if she was truly ill, warred with resentment. But evidence mounted. A lipstick stain on his collar, her scent on his clothes. One afternoon, I accidentally ran into Lila at a coffee shop near her apartment. Stalking, yes, but necessary. She looked frail, but was it real? Chemo pallor or makeup? We chatted awkwardly. She thanked me for understanding. Ethan's been a rock, she said, eyes misty. Manipulation dripped from her words. I nodded, seething inside, planting seeds. If you need anything, call me. Back home I researched medical records. Illegal, but temptation loomed. Moral lines blurred. Was I becoming the monster? Suspense built slowly, like a storm gathering. Ethan proposed a weekend getaway, to reconnect. I agreed, packing with hidden intent. At the cabin, surrounded by whispering pines and crackling fire, tension crackled. Over wine, he confessed partial truths. Lila's struggling, but I still care. My heart hammered, close but not enough. I probed gently, drawing out admissions of lingering feelings. Recording it all on my phone, hidden in my bag. Triumph mixed with heartbreak. This was progress, but at what cost? As part 1 ended, I stared at the evidence on my screen, resolve hardening. Revenge was no longer a fantasy. It was inevitable. But the path ahead promised darkness, and I wondered if I'd emerge unscathed. Part 2, The Reckoning. The cabin's wooden walls creaked under the weight of the wind, a symphony to my unraveling nerves. Ethan's admission hung in the air like smoke from the dying fire. I still care about her, Elena. More than I should. His eyes, usually so confident, flickered with guilt, but not enough to confess the full betrayal. I sipped my wine, the tart liquid burning down my throat, masking the bile of resentment. Inside, my mind was a whirlwind. Fantasies of smashing the glass, screaming accusations, doubts urging restraint. But the recording captured it all. His voice laced with affection for Lila. Evidence, my weapon in this slow-burn war. We returned home the next day, the drive silent except for the hum of tires on wet asphalt. Rain blurred the windshield, mirroring my hazy moral compass. Humiliation festered. I'd given him everything, my trust, my future, and he'd tossed it for a ghost from his past. Obsession gripped tighter. I'd expose them, but not crudely. No, something poetic, a twist of the knife that mirrored their deception. I imagined their faces when the truth unraveled. Shock, regret, ruin. But guilt whispered, what if Lila's cancer was real? A quick online search later revealed forums on faking illnesses for sympathy. Plausible, but unproven. My resolve wavered, then steeled. They'd played me, now the game was mine. Over the following weeks, I wove my web with quiet precision. First, I supported Ethan by suggesting he spend more time with Lila. She needs you, I said, voice dripping honeyed concern. He hesitated, surprise flashing in his eyes, but agreed, guilt making him compliant. Meanwhile, I befriended her circle subtly. A mutual acquaintance here, a social media follow there. Whispers reached me. Lila seen at bars, laughing, no sign of treatments. Confirmation fueled my anger, a cold flame. Inner conflict raged. Was this vengeance or justice? Fear of consequences loomed. Losing friends, legal repercussions. But heartbreak propelled me. Every memory of our love now poisoned. Dialogue became my tool, laced with hidden barbs. At dinner one night, candlelight flickering across Ethan's face, I asked, "How's chemo going for her?" "Must be exhausting." He stammered, "Yeah, rough. She's a fighter." I smiled, suppressing rage. "You're so kind to her. Almost like old times." He paled, changing the subject. Tension built, a taut string ready to snap. I hired a discreet PI, expensive but worth it. Photos arrived, them at a motel, arms entwined. The images seared into my brain, humiliation twisting into obsession. Plans crystallized. I'd stage a surprise gathering, invite family, friends, even Lila under the guise of support. Then reveal the affair, the lie, with irrefutable proof. But layers emerged. Lila wasn't just manipulative, she was desperate. A deep dive into her background revealed debts, a failed career. Ethan, her safety net. Motivations humanized her, but didn't excuse. Ethan too, whispers of regret in his texts to her. "This is wrong, but I can't stop." Moral grayness complicated my resolve. Was I punishing love, however twisted? Doubt plagued me during sleepless nights, the city's distant sirens echoing my turmoil. Yet resentment won. They'd humiliated me, postponed our life for their selfishness. The plan unfolded with cinematic precision. I booked a private room at an upscale restaurant, citing a special announcement. Invitations went out, our families, close friends, Lila included, to show solidarity. Ethan beamed, thinking it was about rescheduling the wedding. "You're amazing," he said, kissing my forehead. I recoiled inwardly, skin crawling. The night arrived, air thick with anticipation. The room glowed with soft lighting, crystal glasses clinking, scents of roasted garlic and fresh bread wafting. Guests mingled, oblivious. I stood at the head, glass raised, heart thundering. "Thank you all for coming. This has been a tough time with Lila's illness." She sat there, pale but composed, Ethan beside her, too close. "But tonight I want to share the truth." Murmurs rippled. I pulled out my phone, projecting the photos, messages, the recording. Gasps echoed, the room's warmth turning icy. Ethan's face drained of color. "Elena, what? The cancer?" "A lie," I said, voice steady despite the storm inside. "Or at least exaggerated. And the affair? Undeniable." Chaos erupted. Accusations, tears. Lila bolted, sobbing. Ethan chased, begging. But the twist came later, shattering my victory. As guests dispersed in shock, my phone buzzed. A message from the PI. "Urgent. Lila's medical records hacked. Real diagnosis confirmed. Stage 4, but affair predates it." Ethan's been playing both sides. Horror washed over me. The cancer was true, but the betrayal deeper. My revenge, justified yet cruel, had exposed a dying woman's pain publicly. Guilt crashed in, cold and unrelenting. I'd won, but at what price? Ethan called, voice broken. "How could you?" I hung up, alone in the empty room, the taste of poetic justice bitter on my tongue. In the aftermath, obsession faded to reflection. Heartbreak lingered, but so did resolve. I'd reclaimed my power, morally gray as it was. The pursuit of revenge had changed me, a scar that pulsed with every beat. And in the quiet I wondered, was this justice or just another betrayal of myself?